This is the campaign edition of Choice 2017. On a day, both the two main protagonists, that is Jubilee and NASA, are busy campaigning. You know, the only asset, the only valuable asset they have right now is time, and they're trying to make the most out of it. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee Brigade are in Kericho County, and NASA leader Raila Odinga and his brigade are casting their nets wide in Machakos County in the larger Ukambani region. Once again, this is the campaign edition of Choice 2017. Let me just come back to studio once again. We've been talking about issues to do with IEBC, on whether they're well prepared or they're not. And I did raise an issue that, you know, whether we're saying they're well prepared or not, they are the ones who are going to oversee the August 8th election. Is it a conversation we're supposed to have at this moment in time?
Yes, it's a conversation, and I like what my colleague Brian, it's like he took some words from me. We need to understand historically where we are coming from. Number one. Number two, you need to understand legally where we're coming from.
Yes.
So that we understand how pretty is the current chairman and his team sitting. Look at the Chesoni's time. Look at the late Kivuito's time, and both Chesoni and Kivuito are now late. Look at then who took over from Kivuito was Isaac Hassan's time. Look at how the IEBCs were performing. The first two, Chesoni's time and Kivuito's time, nobody knew how IEBC operates. They were very close. I had an opportunity in 1997 to work under Chesoni during that election. So we didn't know what's happening. Now, look at the mutation of the legal processes. Every election has come. We've changed our laws. So where are we now? We are in a situation whereby the current IEBC has all the legal mandate, framework, and institutions to ensure that the election is well manned and well prepared. Yes. So if you ask me whether IEBC, Chebukati and his team are prepared, is that they have learned from mistakes of the previous chairmans, previous commissions. Some were removed from office very unprocedural and unfairly. And therefore, they ought to be prepared because they are backing themselves, their levels of preparation with the law. We have one of the most progressive laws in this country in terms of the Constitution and all the electoral laws, including various regulations and provisions that enables a commission to deliver the elections adequately and properly. Now, they must be prepared. However, when you look at Kenya, when you look at the Kenyan EMB, the Electoral Management Body, the IEBC, other countries come to Kenya to learn from what we do. So if you ask me a question whether IEBC is prepared, 100% is prepared. I only have a fault and a problem with IEBC. And I'm saying why they prepared is that the legal framework is in place. Wonderful. It has been changed over the years. We've learned from the mistakes in the past elections, especially the 2002, 2007, 2008 election. We've amended our laws. We are proper framework. We are under a new constitution. This is a second election under the new constitution. The only problem I have with IEBC is only one. Communication. IEBC is not moving to speed with Kenyans and keeping them updated. When you look at how the opinion polling are saying that they have got no credibility with IEBC, they are listening to the leaders. They are listening to NASA. They are listening to Jubilee. They are listening to all these other people. But IEBC is not coming out to say, look, we are prepared. This is what we are doing. This is what we have to do. When you look at the website, it's not properly updated most of the time. Now, one of the things that IEBC has not done, for example, when this NASA business of yesterday and KDF issues came out, IEBC has not clarified anything. They have left it instead to the defense minister and internal security people. Yet, that allegation is touching on IEBC. IEBC should be in the forefront saying, look, to the best of our knowledge, we have TRIMS, the election management system. We have TRIMS, which is working. We have all the technology working. None of these technologies is going to capture the image of police or KDF or people, because this is an electronically managed election. Number two, in the past, we used to see commissioners in the IEBC announcing elections periodically. That has changed. It's no longer going to be the case. You are not telling Kenyans how the electoral process is going to be managed that particular day. Kenyans will be sitting on the TV, KTN or whatever, watching to see periodically commissioners reading the results. That's not the case anymore. So but now IEBC is not informing Kenyans. It's not keeping in place with Kenyans.
Yeah. I see John here is ready to react to that. You know, let's face it. IEBC has serious perception issues.
It's true.
According to the opinion poll, Kissinger has also quoted that close to 80% of the opposition supporters don't believe in IEBC. They don't believe they're going to deliver a credible election.
I'd like to bring you up to speed with Jimmy Carter Foundation report that was released last week.
Yes.
And it gave IEBC a fair, I would say, appraisal on their preparedness. But there are also some issues that they raised which were quite important for us to note. And the issues that the two gentlemen have highlighted, that IEBC has contributed on its own on the issues of its perception, which is not very positive to some extent. Take, for example, why should you have people go to Dubai when you have done 95 or when 95% of the printing has already been conducted? And I remember there's a time on 22nd of June, they were supposed to have taken the media and the agents of the presidents and all that to Dubai. But again, this time round, why take them at that time? Why not take them when the process is actually beginning, or why not make that arrangement? In that in itself, it casts aspersions where there is none. And does
that say they don't have like a means to come up with some sort of a credible election?
No, I think it is the wrong timing. It is the inability for the IEBC to correctly and accurately, make their communication in the right way at the right time. And that is something that the commissioners have been blamed for. Although, again, I also think our court, when they went to Dubai, they should also have sampled. When you find that 95% of the ballot papers have been printed, I would imagine one of the things you'd want to go to do is to sample. Other than to come with a hopeless report back to Kenya, and that is exactly what you had gone to do. You should sample, get to the to the depth of the stack, remove one carton, have it opened, check and see that everything is per the prescription. So that when you come back to Kenya, you're giving us a report of what you saw, but you can't come to Kenya and now tell us, we went and we are sorry. What we saw, it doesn't give us hope. But now, having said that,
let him finish.
I think we have a problem with the communication coming from IEBC. And I keep saying, we only know two commissioners from IEBC. If I were them, I would be populating the media and every other place to communicate on how IEBC is conducting their business. Otherwise, if they don't do that, they leave that to the politicians. And politicians will be more believable by their supporters.
As you finished.
And that then divides us at the middle. So we need to do more as IEBC in terms of communication, in terms of bringing the facts to Kenyans, in terms of even explaining how it will be on the election, when we are waiting for the votes or for the results. You remember there's someone actually who went to court to say that we are expecting results to be announced within 7 hours. But the court dismissed that. But IEBC can stem some of those litigations by just explaining and giving even how they have planned it. It is important that they do much more than they have done so far.
Thank you, John. I always say, the conversation surrounding IEBC will never end.
Yes,
but at least we have them. They're going to oversee the August 8th election. But this is a show about politics, and it's all about the campaigns and what has been happening for the better part of this week. And today, a lot of development we've seen. The running mate of Miguna stepping down. President Uhuru Kenyatta is campaigning in Kericho, and Raila Odinga, that is NASA's presidential candidate, is also in Machakos County. Something interesting happened in Eldoret, that is Uasin Gishu County, where something unlikely took place, where opposition leaders endorsed a Jubilee candidate for the county's top seat. Let's listen in.
NASA Uhuru! NASA Ruto, NASA Buzeki. Ningekuwa na kura yangu hapa, nimempigia Mandago. Thank you. Kwa hivyo mtasalimia rafiki yangu Mandago. Sawa sawa.
Less than 14. Brian, I do believe you've listened to that soundbite even before.
Yes.
What does that tell you?
Intriguing, indeed. And that's one of our most attractive package for analysts to dissect further because it shapes the political dynamics on that particular setup. Listening to NASA endorsing the candidature of Jackson Mandago, the governor for Uasin Gishu, who is actually known to be, on a Jubilee ticket, is one of the most intriguing, aspects that we would want to talk about, as I said before. And this has a few connotations that I want to highlight. One, Mandago, also was quoted urging his supporters to protect his votes and also to protect those of Baba. That means that as they protect his votes or as they vote for him, they are also supposed to. He's actually requesting them to vote for Baba directly, actually.
But he's a Jubilee candidate.
He is a Jubilee candidate, but this was, as I said before, this was a sort of driven by vengeance, political vengeance. You remember very well, if you're a good student of history, Yusuf, that the DP, who is actually the kingpin of the Rift Valley, politics, was on record that he was actually having Buseki, who is actually, squaring it against Mandago as his preferred candidate some time back there. But it's unfortunate that things did not go well, that he had to bow to the pressure of the people within the Rift, that he had to change tact, and now, he seems to support Mandago. But again, I think Mandago never forgave the DP for the earlier, prescription, because that seems to be the genesis of the altercations that we saw, and this kind of matching each other, even politically speaking, seems to be playing very much within the Western Gishu politics. So yesterday but one for that matter, was actually a sort of, was actually retaliatory in the sense that Mandago was trying to tell the DP, look here, you might have, humiliated me at some point, but here today I'm going to hit you also below the belt.
And that is going to have a last laugh.
Now,
exactly. It seems, the opposition are taking some sort of mileage.
Yes, and
the differences between Mandago and the DP.
Yes, and to analyze, to add what Brian is saying, the NASA brigade do not have any problem with the Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta as a presidential candidate in terms of how they align themselves.
But they're going to invest him.
No,
interpersonally.
Interpersonally. They have a problem with William Ruto.
John is smiling.
And William Ruto, as Brana said, was aligned to Buzeki. So the Buzeki's loss is very good for the NASA brigade. That's for sure. Now, but what NASA has done is that NASA has just basically given a good ticket in terms of electoral contest to Governor Mandago. But what Mandago did was very also interesting, because Uasin Gishu is very voter rich. Eldoret, where the headquarters are, is very voter rich. Now, what Mandago has done now is that he's laying support to other political aspirants affiliated to NASA because of only one thing. He wants to consolidate his vote, number one. Number two, he must get those cosmopolitan votes there. The Luyas, the Luos, the Bukusus, name them, who are based in Eldoret, because they form a very huge voting bloc.
And those who support NASA.
Yes, they support NASA, and who were initially seen to be, initially the political connotation was Mandago was against them because they were not actually from Eldoret. But now when he comes out and supports a politician who is aligned to NASA, it just shows that, look, I have my vote in the Rift, but also from the cosmopolitan vote. So it's a very smart move, but in politics we always say there are no enemies.
Actually, I have only 8 minutes before we complete our 2 hours. John, react to that briefly.
The politics in Eldoret and Uasin Gishu is that Buzeki, who is a Nandi, has lived amongst the Kayos for a long time. And we have Mandago, who is a Nandi himself. And the Nandis have been supporting his bid, the Mandago's bid. And the Kayos, Marakwets, and other people who come from outside the Rift have been supporting Buzeki's candidature. That's what has been happening. And so when the last opinion poll was done, you could see that Buzeki had already edged ahead of Mandago. And why was this so? It's because of the support he's getting from other people from outside Eldoret. And now when they came to Eldoret, the NASA brigade, one of the things they did then is to endorse Mandago so that they can now push all these other cosmopolitan voters, as Kisija would say, towards Mandago. And of course, they are lending him a debt. You remember that they had done a similar thing to Munya in Meru. But Munya, realizing that that could cost him his seat, he came very fast and refused the support. Told them, I'm okay, I am a supporter of Jubilee government and all that. So now, this issue of Mandago,
as I conclude,
and with NASA, is such that it looks also to 2022 politics. And if you look at Kalonzo, he was very happy to endorse Mandago in this because he's also looking at a situation where they would want to have someone who is not going to be very friendly to the DP, you know, take that position or take the governor position in Uasin Gishu. But again, I would also want to say that looking at it in totality,
yes,
it sells out NASA now when they are seen by their supporters to be supporting a Jubilee candidate.
Since they don't have space to operate in Uasin Gishu. I think you've delivered your point. I see Mary Kilobe already here in studio, ready with the BOA KTN. Many thanks, gentlemen, for your input here. As always, John Kagwishia, Kakai Kisinja, pleasure to have you, and of course Brian Mutie. And that brings us to the end of our show this afternoon. It has been the campaign edition of Choice 2017, but don't go too far because we're still giving you a back-to-back coverage of the day's campaign. NASA are in Machakos and President Uhuru Kenyatta together with Jubilee Party are in Kericho. Remember, we're going to also give you updates to that developing story from Sugoi, the home of the deputy president, where we're getting reports that there are gunmen who attacked that house. Many thanks for watching. My name is Yusuf Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.